Safetize is one of the best and most overlooked partners for Ripple and XRP. BlackRock, Apollo, KKR, Hamilton Lane, InvestCorp, Cantor Fitzgerald, and many more are connected to Securitize. This is how big money worth trillions of dollars is linked to Ripple and XRP. There's new information about Securitize that I wanted to share. Together, Ripple, XRP, and Securitize are going to take institutional capital to a whole new level. XRP is used. Let's start looking at some of this knowledge. This video is a great way to set the tone. Let's talk about what Securitize is and what they do. After that, we'll talk about a lot of new knowledge. This is Carlos Domingo, is the CEO of Securitize and one of its founders. I began the business in late 2017. That was the first big event that got people excited about tokenization. When I began my business, crypto was very small. It was like a $20 billion business. It's now a $2 trillion business. When blockchain first came out, I thought that this technology layer should be used for regular instruments as well. This will make them easy to buy, trade, and do business with. We just had a talk at Swell that was all about tokenization. Could you tell us about the types of assets that you think will be tokenized next? Today, it's clear that Treasury is the biggest group, has been working with us for a long time, and it's great to see how their goals have grown from the work they started doing in gross order fees to include tokenization and many other areas. We're really looking forward to many of the talks and possible relationships we're having with Ripple. Okay, I'll start this now. As of late 2025, Securitize had built one of the biggest partner ecosystems in the tokenization industry. It connects institutional finance and decentralized finance by building smart partnerships with asset managers. First, let's talk about the partners. Then we'll go back to Securitize. BlackRock, Tokenize USD, Institutional Digital Liquidity, Buildle, and Via Securitize are paving the way for asset financing in the real world on the blockchain. They work together to turn the diverse credit fund into tokens that can be used on different blockchains, like Polygon, KKR, Hamilton Lane, Vanik, Ethereum, and Solana. You securitize private stock, credit, and treasury-based assets so that they can be turned into tokens. Ripple did, of course, add RLSD for real-time payment and liquidity. There are also a lot of other financial backers, such as Morgan Stanley and BlackRock Coinbase Ventures. There are also a lot of connections with Wormhole, Algorand, and Redstone, as well as banking custody, infrastructure partners, BNY Mellon, and Ripple custody. Going up here, Ripple's long-term plan for XRP and institutional usage depends on Securitize. This is because it's the link between traditional finance and the tokenized on-chain ecosystems that Ripple is building, especially with RLOSD and the regulatory-approved stablecoin. What role Securitize plays in Ripple's plan? The biggest regulated platform for tokenized real-world assets, such as U.S. Treasury bonds, stock, and fund shares, BlackRock, Bilbo, and Venex VBill are two of the biggest tokenized funds in the world that are issued on public blockchains. It is what makes them possible. As far as we know, less than 0.01% of the money has already made its way to chains. This is still very new, but this is a great way to get some of these funds on the chain using Ripple's technology. In fact, it says that Ripple just recently added RLUSD to Securitize's system. This partnership makes Ripple's RLUSD a default liquidity layer across securitized tokenization marketplaces. This effectively embeds Ripple's technology and payment rails inside institutional-grade financial systems regulated by the New York Department of Financial Services, which is the highest regulator in the country. Don't forget that the NYDFS passed RLSD. This is why Ripple was ready for that. It's a big deal for XRP because Securitize is working to connect with the XRP ledger so that more people can use tokenized assets, customizable liquidity, and on-chain settlement in real time. This change means that XRPL could be used with billions of dollars worth of tokenized securities and securitized handles, including those issued by BlackRock. This is how XRP Ledger and BlackRock work together. That's it, folks. Here's a brand new video that talks about Securitized, which could mean going public through a SPAC. This is a tokenization company, Securitize. It was said that it would be going public through a SPAC, which is a new trend. It's a deal worth more than $1 billion, and it will be put on the public market afterward. And why would Securitize want to go public instead of staying private? So it's definitely about getting money with a list of cars. They are able to do more things in getting more stock. Securitize is interesting because it is a vehicle or a company that is trying to turn illiquid assets into other types of assets, Think about the KKR private equity fund or another type of private equity fund that you can't usually trade, like a product that is easy to sell. This makes it possible to trade the risk of these assets. For this type of business to go public in the usual way, in a normal stock market, that tells us through the will what they think about the wealth they will be able to get. Okay, let's keep going. I'd like to play some more clips for you. This is the very end of the game for XRP. In this video, the CEO of Securitize talks about Ripple XRP. This is the big news I want to share with you. Ripple and Securitize are making it possible for BlackRock's BUIDL and VanEck's VBIL smart contracts to work with Ripple's stablecoin RLSD. Let's talk about it. What can holders of the BUIDL and VBIL do now that they are connected? Why does it matter? When Ripple invested in our business, they told us, right now we're focusing on cross-border payments. But one day we want to do more, and tokenization is one of those things we want to get into. It has taken a very long time for that to happen. They've changed over the last few years, though. For example, they bought a custody business and now do custody. They are in the business of prime trading. The treasuries work, and they just released their own stablecoin not long ago. That makes sense. Tokenization is the next step for them. In this case, they're doing it by helping us as a liquidity source with RLUSD, the newest stablecoin. As soon as this is announced, there will be a provision of RLUSD on the chain that people can use to buy or sell either VDL or VVL. This way, they can get cash right away without having to wait for market hours to do the tri-file liquidation of the treasuries. And wasn't that possible before? You can use other stablecoins too, but it won't work as well. At the end of the day, we need as many steady coins as possible and as much cash as possible. Okay, this clip is also here. Mr. Mann says, "Let me introduce Securitize. It's the first blockchain-based move agent regulated by the SEC. It was still pretty new, and one of our investments is in Securitize's growth. That is what I am going to talk about with you today. It was fun for me to look back at this. So, that's a bit about SSL. That's where we're based. Our offices in New York and Tel Aviv are going to be sold soon. I am becoming more and more aware of the fact that we require an office here. Keep an eye on that. Work for about 30 people now. We've raised about, okay, there's no need to get into dweeds about that, but here's a later clip that talks about RLOSD Live and BlackRock's buildup. Guys is working with Ripple to offer regulated investments that pay interest. Feel like you can move like a stable coin. I have very good collateral for foreign markets, but the trouble is that the collateral, which is very good, moves very slowly. This is because I have to wait for days when I want to move it, put it up as collateral, or borrow money against it on the weekend, among other times. It's not possible to do those things because markets move at their own pace and are sometimes stopped, among other things. In the crypto world, I said that people usually put up crypto assets or stable coins as security. These things move very quickly, right? Tokenized libraries such as VDL or VBL seem to combine the best parts of both worlds. As security, they give you the same high-quality assets that you have on Tritify, but they move more slowly than stable coins. Now, if they are sold, they need to be changed back into digital dollars, also known as tokenized dollars. For this reason, it is very important for tokenized treasury funds like VDL and VBL to work with safe coins like RLUSD. Integrating RLSD is very important for how things will work here. Everything makes sense now that you see how important Ripple, XRP, and RLSD are, right? Some of the biggest organizations in the world have teamed up with us. We're working with Ripple to make it possible to send RLSD, which you probably know as VVIL Cash. These things make you wonder what else is going to be said here. Building on VVIL's existing infrastructure, this integration makes it easier to handle treasury and adds new features like intraday transferability, securitized regulated tokenized infrastructure, and native composability with DeFi and CeFi connecting the two. This is the first time that RLSD has been added to Securitize's website. Securitize is also